Welcome to Where Are They Now, the new CUNY Startups podcast where we sit down with alumni from our startup programs and discuss their experiences, delving into their journeys, aspirations, and the unique experiences that the CUNY Startups programs have offered them. Not just to recount success stories, but also to unravel the challenges, the lessons learned, and the moments that define their entrepreneurial path.
Thank you so much for joining us today. To start off, can you give us a quick snapshot of what you've been up to?
Been working on an economic model for my master's thesis. Still a student at Brooklyn College, working with genetics, kind of doing DNA mapping, and then trying to leverage that and turn that into like a economic model that kind of quantifies migration patterns. So that's what I've been really working on. That's where my focus has been.
That sounds really great. Sounds exciting. Thinking back to your time with the NVA program at CUNY Startups, what's one unexpected skill that you picked up that you still lean on today?
One unexpected skill is my ability to do due diligence and research. Like I learned very much to like get out and talk to people and understand like what the main pain points were when it comes to developing a solution to a problem. It's like being more like problem first, like don't create the solution before addressing the problem, address the problem and then think of a solution. So like that's one of the I think the most critical things I learned, because it saves a lot of time trying to figure out whether there's a market or not for like what you're developing.
So since your NVA experience, how's your entrepreneurial path evolved? Like what stayed the same or what has changed about your entrepreneurial path?
Relative to my entrepreneurial path, I would say that learning to pivot. So what we initially started off as was a company who wanted to develop a VR solution, or like a VR gamified company that focuses on like simulating job workplaces, and to like create like a gamified version of those workplaces so students can kind of get experience in the job field that they want to get into, while not being able to get an internship, because not everyone can get an internship. As of late, what we did was we learned that maybe like, the VR aspect wasn't really like the most feasible idea. So like we evolved more into like developing modules and then trying to gamify those modules so that they're more feasible and they're more available for everyone. So I think that's how that evolved. Additionally, we also started creating different products to address different needs as well. So we really branched out a lot over like the last 2 years.
That sounds exciting. So hitting back on that, you mentioned something about pivoting. So what's some major pivot points post-program that really shifted your direction?
I would say the CUNY NVA program is kind of the first place that did that, because like we had ideas, or I had an idea at the time, right? And I didn't necessarily like know how to get it done. Initially, like that was where the first major pivot happened, is like I wanted to make kind of like a finance or a student run hedge fund, like a live student run hedge fund. And then like going into NVA and having a lot of like mentors, we pivoted to like realizing that there's like job security is like an absolute essential for not just like finance, and it's not just for a niche field. Like we need to open it up to like everyone, and we need to focus on like an entire job market, or even an entire market in finance that's more realistic, because like hedge funds are so niche.
Definitely. So if you could go back to your first day in the program, what's one piece of advice that you would have given yourself?
To not be so scared to talk. Like, I think I did a really good job trying to moderate between like my group, and then Remy as well. And we did the projects well, but I feel like my deliverable on the demo day could have been better. And it's like, I feel like that stemmed from not getting enough practice in, when it came to like talking. And I really wish if I could have done it different, I would have like opened up Zoom and like practiced every day until the final presentation day. Because if I did that, I feel like we would probably hit like first place. We hit second. Second's not bad, but like we were aiming for first. So
That's really good, and definitely more practice makes perfect, and it takes out some kind of shortcomings. Definitely. So, looking back at your journey, how do you feel the CUNY Startups MBA program influenced what you're doing now?
It gave me structure. Before that, I was just a person with an idea. But being in CUNY Startups, it taught me how to develop the TAM, the total addressable market, how to think about the forecasting because we had a model that we got to use. It taught me how to look at a problem, how to address a solution, how to segment the problem, the solution, the marketing, how are you going to get this thing out to the public? So it gave me a structure to follow, and it's that was a structure that I could build upon. So it stopped becoming an idea and it became something that I can actually use for other ideas as well. Once you have that process down, you can build upon it, you can refine it. If you have another idea, you can develop a structure around that whole process. I'm going to interview people, find out a problem, develop a solution, wonder how I'm going to get this out to market.
Nice. That's definitely something that CUNY Startups leaves you with. So, in your current role right now, what's a challenge that you're currently facing and how are you tackling it?
I was doing underwriting for Mange Capital, and that's kind of it's basically a new role. So just being the new guy in the office and then trying to really work around certain things. It's I guess the technical aspect of it, learning the ropes, being, working in a relatively small office and trying to find your way around things and do things without as much guidance because everyone's kind of busy in a small office. So no one can really take the time to help you out. You get thrown in, and it's you got to really figure things out on your own.
Definitely, I understand that. So, within the next, let's say, 12 to 24 months, what's one thing that you're working on that you're really excited about, or what's an initiative that you plan to take?
The graduate model that I talked about earlier is something that I'm really excited about doing. Just because I don't think anyone's really done it before. It's the combination of genealogy and then economic analysis in order to create a model. For me, that's unique. And it's also something that I tied back to my grandfather and my heritage. So being able to quantify DNA mapping, look at migration patterns, being able to look at my genetics and then look at parish records and then quantify, okay, this is where my grandfather grew up. This is where their grandfather grew up. Looking at historical data at the time to see why they may have moved from, let's say, Puerto Rico to the United States, and then looking at the distribution of wealth from one country to another. That's something that I'm really interested in and something that I can't wait to complete, even though it's not going to be something that I'm going to be able to complete anytime soon.
Definitely, I understand. So speaking on that, do you plan to just keep it academic-wise, or you plan to scale it into something that everyone could use?
I mean, when it comes to that, you mean what relative to the model, or
the whole research in general? Because you talked about how it's exciting to you. Maybe people from your background or similar could also find some use off of that.
Yeah, I think there's a commercial availability for it. Let's say, for me, when I started off my internship, right, it was in real estate. Real estate, if you could track the flow of funds, you can kind of use that as what is it called, an indicator, or not a leading, leading indicator. I think kind of tracking okay, so people are moving because of law X, Y, or Z. Maybe this is where the wealth of funds are going to be distributed. People kind of use it as a forecasting tool, I guess. So there's a thing, commercial availability for people within real estate. There's also maybe a commercial availability for people to the general public, if people are leaving because of X, Y, and Z, and they know this is where this, so it could be used for, I think, a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely see the vision with that, and hopefully, maybe one day you could scale it wise, or you could just keep it as it is. And so, for aspiring founders, especially those coming through our CUNY Startups program, what's one habit or interest that you'd strongly recommend?
Public speaking. I recommend it. You mean people going into CUNY? I would recommend them learn to do public speaking because it is no matter how much times you do it, you can still get a little nervous, but doing it often desensitizes you to it. What I find is that people have a good idea or a good product, and then when it comes to presenting it, they get either nervous or they get like a little jittery when they do the presentation and they start jumbling over their words. So like being able to do a public speaking class and then just making yourself go through that daily, it'll help with the presentation. And like ultimately that's like what matters, right? If you have the research and then you can't like fully express what you're trying to talk about, it doesn't really, like, the research doesn't really help because no one understands what you're saying. So yeah, just public speaking is probably like one of the most essential classes that I think a student can take. In that's like not just for like your entrepreneurial, like, not just for your entrepreneurial journey, but like for work in general. Like if you're an analyst, you got to get up and you got to give a presentation. A lot, just like if you're doing sales, you gotta be able to talk to a customer or a client. So like public speaking in general, I think is like an absolute essential. Like it's one of the most uncomfortable things that an individual has to do or can do, but it's also something that you need to learn how to do if you really want to succeed, especially even in an interview process, right? So
Definitely being able to communicate and express your ideas is definitely a plus, because what's the use of the ideas if you can't effectively communicate it?
what's the use of, like, let's say you're in a job interview, right? And you have all this experience. What's the use of having all the experience if you can't articulate it to an interviewer?
Yeah. And finally, before we let you go, where could people looking to hear more about you or follow you on your journey find you? And also, what's one thing that you'd love for us to know, but we wouldn't expect that we didn't speak about today?
So I'm really active on LinkedIn. Anyone who wants to find me, they just can type in my name, Jonathan Cologne. I think I'm like the first one that comes up, and you'll see like CEO of Prometheus Investors. And yeah, you can add me on LinkedIn. I'm really, really active on there. One thing that a lot of people don't know about me that surprises them is that I also do like artwork and creative storytelling. So I like illustrating when I have the free time. I'm very artistic as well. So I'm not like even though I'm in finance, it's like, yeah, I'm also like highly creative. That's like one of my main go-tos is drawing, illustration, painting, and then like poetry and creative storytelling.
That's nice. That's definitely a combo I did not expect. Yeah, so I would look forward to following you up and also following your journey along with others. Thank you so much for your time today, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
Likewise. Thank you. Take care.
You too.